This week on 3D Printed Soup, I turn this ugly ass thing into something a bit more prop-like. That's right after this. Hello fellow makers and welcome back to 3D Printed Soup. This week I was going around a couple of charity shops, or if you're in a different country, thrift stores or whatever the hell you call places where you can pick up cheap stuff for almost nothing and the money goes to charity. And I found this. It's a Star Wars Nerf gun and it's supposed to be the Deathtrooper gun. And I look at the Deathtrooper gun and it looks really quite cool. So I thought, you know what? Let's have a dig around and see if there's any way you can turn this into something a bit more screen accurate. And it turns out there's some fantastic people on Thingiverse and 3D Cults who have made brilliant kits to actually transform this into a better looking model. So I thought, you know what? Seeing that this is about 99p, and yeah, so I bought it and I'm going to turn it into something a little bit more prop-like. Always good fun and it always makes a good video. So yeah, I'm going to sand this thing, I am going to add some 3D parts to it, and then I'm going to paint it and see if we can't make something that looks a little less like a green plastic toy. Before we do that, however, thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed this month. We are way over 1,000 now, so yeah, absolutely fantastic. And yay, onwards to 2,000, and then 10,000, and then the world. So, if you're watching this and you haven't liked and subscribed yet, and quite a few haven't, I've looked at my analytics, I know it's you. Drag your cursor down, give the subscribe button a click, click the thumbs up and click the bell button as well. It doesn't make a noise, it should make a noise. You click it, it goes ding. It should be like loot boxes, make a fantastic noise when it goes off and you don't realise what you've been conned into. But yes, join us and join the 3D Printed Society, which is 3D Printed Soup. Welcome, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I do enjoy reading them. Now, let's get on and print ourselves a 3D printed Death Guard gun from a luminous piece of Disney crap. Let's give this a try. Okay, with those parts printed, let's have a quick look at this monstrosity. I mean, it looks okay, apart from the colour, of course, and the styling. The barrel's alright, a bit short, but we can add an extension to that. The rear is the main problem. There is no stock to it, and we've printed out some extra bits to go on the back there. And also, we've got a few side bits, such as the targeting system. So, let's start adding this on. First of all, we have got the the barrel extension. So that goes on there. I'm just laying this out at the moment, I'm not going to glue it till later. So we'll put that aside for now. We have got the rear part, which is going to go over this green section there. We're going to have to unscrew that and take that off. Here we go, and here is the stock. Twizzle that round. There we go. Oh, that's quite a tight fit. I'm just going to give that a quick bash. Hang on one moment. There we go. And that has fit snugly on the back there. And we can now attach the other pieces to that, which is going to basically create the really cool looking stock, which the E11D Carbine blaster rifle, which is what the Deathtrooper rifle is actually called, sets it apart from the regular E11 blaster, the cool looking stock part. So yep, just attach that on there. There we go, and we've got the twisty bit at the back as well. And then we'll put some dowels through it, and we will then attach the butt to it as well. Right, for dowels, I'm going to be using some pen cases I found. But until that, let's attach the new magazine to the side. So I've just attached that with some epoxy resin, so it sits there where the old plastic one used to be. And then we can pop in the magazine. That should do. There we go. And yeah, that's looking better already. Right, next up I have used a couple of Sharpie tubes because they were what I had lying around, and those have actually made a very, very nice stock. I don't want this thing being too long. Some people use really long pieces of wooden dowel. I just used 2 pieces of light plastic because it's strong and it's light, and it means I didn't have to go to the hardware store, which is always a good thing. So yeah, that is looking a lot nicer. Let's chuck that down there for a second. We can have a look at it. And of course, this thing's going to be sanded down and sprayed as well. Right, next up is the barrel extension. And chuck a bit of super glue on the edges here. Not too much because we don't want it linking inside the gun and stopping the mechanism working. So just a little bit around the edges. Like so. There we go. And line it up so that the 2 slits are either side of the barrel. Just hold that on there for 20 or so seconds for that to dry. Pop the top back on so I don't end up with dry super glue. Done that before. It's always a pain. And now that's nicely adhered, we can move on to the rest of the update. The next part is the targeting computer / ammo counter that goes on the side. And just a little bit of super glue there, not too much so it squishes out. And there we go. Attach that on to the edge there. Line that up while the super glue is still wet. Hold that down there, 20 seconds later, and that will be all nicely adhered. Right, with that done, it's time for a gribbly. Oh, you know how much I like a gribbly. And yeah, this is this little sort of 3-tube thing that goes on the front of the ammo counter. Give it a quick, just a little dot of super glue, as this thing doesn't actually stick to a flat surface particularly. There's a little flat surface on the top and it overhangs over the edge of whatever this thing is. So there we go. Line that up, get that straight, and we shall move on over. And with that done, it's time to move on to the bracket that actually attaches this to the gun. So put that aside, and a little drop of super glue on the curved side of this bracket. Hang on, there's a bit of flashing there I need to get rid of. There we go. Give that a quick sand, because if this thing doesn't stick flat, then it's not going to work. That's better. Okay, a little bit of super glue down there. And this attaches to those 2 red squares as you see here. And we've got 2 of these to attach. So I'll attach both of those, and then we'll work on putting the ammo counter on it. And there we go, all nice and straight. Okay, right, next part, we've got this little twiddly bit here, goes on to this little circular bit here, and this makes the flashlight / searchlight that goes on the side of the gun. And I'm not going to attach this on here, I'm going to make sure that I can remove this because I've also got a little extra thing I want to add to this gun to make it even better. But we're going to start by doing the 3D file that came with this actual set first. By the way, this set was made by a fantastic maker on Thingiverse. Links in the description below, and yeah, he's done a really good job here. There was another version of this, but none of the pieces fitted. So yeah, he did a rework of it, and he's made it so it actually all functions properly and is all in the right scale, which is nice of him. There we go, little circle of super glue there. And we shall attach this to the end, and there we go. That is the flashlight / searchlight bit all completed. And yeah, that looks lovely. We'll just leave that to dry for a bit. Alright, now it's time to attach the searchlight to the side of the gun. So a little bit of super glue here, and we'll just hold that on there for 20 seconds, and that should adhere nicely. And some people have used screws to attach this, but as you can't see the screws, and I'm going to paint this anyway, I haven't bothered myself, just using super glue to attach it to plastic. I'm also slightly concerned that screws will actually mess with the mechanism and possibly stop it from firing, so I'd much rather it just be attached properly but without damaging the mechanism of the gun itself. Okay, with those attached, we can put a drop of glue on each one of these flat surfaces, and we can adhere the ammo counter to it. Now this is a little precarious. I'm not totally sure this would actually stand up to any kind of Nerf battle or anything else like that, so I think this is just going to be a nice sort of prop thing I can make as opposed to using it functionally, because yeah, the second you start knocking this on anything or you bang it on something, everything's just going to fall off it because it's quite flimsy. Okay, time for the last few gribblies. We've got a little sort of twisty adjustable knob there, which I just get that in the center. There we go. And that goes under the spotlight, like so. And then we have got this sort of, I don't know what this is, some kind of sort of range counter or something like that, or a range finder. And that just sticks here on top of the ammo clip. And it's straight. I've got to make sure it's parallel to the barrel because the actual ammo clip itself is curved. So yeah, it'll look weird if it's not properly straight. So yeah, just make sure I've lined that up right. I think I have. Right, time for some matte black spray paint. Remember, if you're spraying indoors, leave the windows open, wear a mask, and make sure it's all well ventilated because this stuff is poison. You don't want to be breathing it in. So yeah, nice thin coat of that, and I'll do a second coat later on. With that dry and nicely matte, just do a little bit of silver spray on the end there to show the gun has been worn, and then a tiny little silver spray very lightly over the whole thing to give it a nice silver metallic sheen. I'll then do some chips on it later on. And now I'm just going to paint over the bits that I had to mask off because I want the lights to flash and I do want the spray paint getting in them. So yeah, a nice layer of matte black to cover up the luminous green. I'm going to do it quite thickly. I'm going to do a couple of coats because yeah, this luminous green just shines through anything. I tried a few test coats on different parts and yeah, the luminous green just goes through any colour which isn't properly thick black. Okay, now time to paint the numbers on the ammo counter. And I'm doing a very bright red to stand out on here. And yeah, I'm using an LED torch so I can actually see properly. Sorry, it's brightening the camera out a bit so you can't see the red going on. I needed lots and lots of light to make sure I caught the edges of the embossed numbers correctly and didn't paint on anything else. But yeah, that's turned out very, very nicely. And finally, I'm doing a bit of bronze. I think it's called Hazelnut Chestnut actually. Around the edge to show where the paint has burnt off. Just dry brushing it, which basically is a process where you get the brush, dip it in the paint, and then scrub it off onto a paper towel so you've barely got anything left whatsoever. And it just grips onto anything raised, in this case the texture of the paint. And you get a nice light silver that looks like it has been burnt on, as opposed to just a silver stripe which looks like has been painted on. Okay, and then we're going to paint the interior of the searchlights. So we've got a nice reflective surface in there. I'm using a paint called Stormhose Silver, which is a nice bright silver, so it gives a nice effect of a lens on it. And with that painted and assembled, that is the Deathtrooper gun completed. I mean, the Deathtroopers have been in everything from Rogue One to Rebels to the Clone Wars, and yeah, they always look awesome, and their gun just looks really, really kind of sinister. It's sort of long, and it's got all these sort of weird little bits on it. It's got sort of ammo counters and a very strange sort of stock attached to it, so it can be sort of transformed from a pistol to a sort of a long-range rifle. And I especially like the fact that you can change the spotlight on the side and change it with an actual torch, and yeah, I added that as you saw earlier, and it looks really, really cool having that on the front. And yeah, once you've got rid of the horrible luminous green plastic, why they did it luminous green I don't know. Well, actually I do know, it's to stop it looking like a real gun and stopping kids getting shot when they walk out in the street with it. But yeah, I don't think I'd walk around with this in public. It probably would get you shot because it does look very tactical and a little bit sort of SMG-ish. So yeah, much kudos to the designers who remixed this from the original, which looked good but basically was all in the wrong shape and in the wrong sizes. And yeah, absolutely great model, and I'm very, very glad that they took the time to remix this. Thanks so much for watching 3D Printed Soup. Links in the description as below as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay happy, stay safe, keep printing.